Hello children, today we are going to discuss chapter number 10. The name of the chapter is Motion and Measurement of Distances. In this chapter we are going to learn about history of transport, need for measurements, taking correct measurements, rest and motion, and different types of motion. Here we are having modes of transport. In today's world, we know that we have different modes of transport for air, water, and land. In air, we have aeroplanes and helicopters. In water, we have boats and ships. And in land, we have cars, trucks, trains, etc. But this was not the case in earlier times. In earlier times, the men used to travel on foot, and then he used to take his goods or his luggage on his back. Slowly and gradually, he started domesticating the animals like elephant, horse, and those donkeys, and those animals they used to carry men as well as their loads from one place to another. For traveling in water, the men started using the wooden logs with a hollow cavity inside it. And after that, those wooden logs were joined together to make raft, and those raft were again modified to make ships. Now the imitation was made of the fishes, the animals which live in water. So they took the idea from that and they made the boats in the streamlined shape so that it can move easily in water. Then after that, in land transport, the invention of wheel came into picture. Now vehicles could be made which could be pulled by animals, like we have bullock carts, horse carts, and so on. In 19th century, steam engine was invented, and it was a big change. It was a very big invention, as it made the life of the people very easier, and also the travel became quite fast. Nowadays the engines are used, and these engines are not steam engines, but they're fueled by either petrol, diesel, CNG, and some even run on electricity, like our metro trains and bullet trains are the examples of the same. Men also wanted to fly. Always men has that desire to fly in the sky. So initially hot air balloons and gliders were used, and after that it led to the idea of construction of aeroplanes. So this is how the idea of different modes of transport came into picture. Now we need to understand about the term that is measurement. Now what is measurement? Measurement simply means the comparison of an unknown quantity with a known fixed quantity. Like if we have to measure the distance between any 2 points, then that is known as length. Earlier, the history of measurement was there. Our forefathers, they used different parts of their body in order to measure length, like the distance of a foot, sorry, the distance of a step. Then they used the width of a fingers, then the length. All different terms were used, like they used hand span, they used footstep, they used cubit length. Suppose if we want to measure the length of a table, so earlier how they used to measure it? They used to measure it with the help of hand span. Now what error could come out of it? That the body parts of different humans, they means the different individuals, the body part size may vary. So it will not bring a uniform measurement. It might arise that the measurements will be different in each case. So then after that, the need for standard units was felt. And what are the standard units? Standard unit means there is a definite and convenient quantity, and which is followed all throughout the world uniformly, which does not vary from person to person. We have some standard unit of length is meter, and now we have different units through which we can measure the length. These are the 1 centimeter, it equals to 10 millimeters, 1 decimeters equals to 10 centimeters, 1 meter equals to 10 decimeters, 1 decameter equals to 10 meters, 1 hectometer equals to 100 meters, and 1 kilometer equals to 1000 meters. Now, we have different units to measure length, like we have rulers, we have measuring tapes. Now, the type of the instrument which we are using, it depends on the type of work and the accuracy that is needed. Like for example, if you want to measure the small lengths in geometry, so what we will use? We will use the 15 centimeter ruler which is there in our geometry. Similarly, measuring tape it is flexible, and it is used by the tailor to take our body measurements. And a meter scale is there, which is used by cloth merchant. So we have seen that the different types of measuring units are used for different purposes. Now, if we are using a metric scale, then how we will measure the length accurately with the metric scale? In this picture, you can see the measurement of a cardboard with by placing the ruler. But the placing of ruler depends, and exact placing will give the correct measurements, and if we are not placing the ruler exactly, then it will give us incorrect measurements. So this is the way of measuring the length of any object. Then there arises a parallax error. Now, what is a parallax error? An error which occurs due to the wrong position of eye while taking readings. If we are taking readings and if we are not looking from the exact position, but we are looking from slightly right or slightly left, then there might be a chance that our readings get wrong. So that kind of error is known as parallax error, and this error, it can be avoided by placing the object in such a way that the eye is exactly above the point of where the measurement needs to be taken. Now, this was the case when we have to measure the length of a straight line. Now, if we have to measure the length of a curved line, then the technique is slightly different. We need to follow some steps here. Here we can see how to measure the length of a curved line. At first, what we have to do, we'll have to take a thread. Then what we will do, we'll put a knot near one end of the thread. Then after that, we'll place the knot at the beginning, and then we'll press it with our thumb, and we'll start taking the measurement of the curved line. Then we'll keep our finger pressed. Then we'll move the thread along the portion of the wire, or along the portion of the curved line that we need to measure. When the thread, it reaches the end of the line, then we'll put a mark on it, and then we'll stretch out the thread and measure its length with the help of a ruler, a suitable measuring unit. Rest and motion. Now, if an object does not show any kind of motion or any kind of change in position with time, then it is said to be in the state of rest or at stationary. So, like for example, what we can say, the position of a clock, it did not change its position, so it is said to be stationary. But if an object changes its position with time, it is said to be moving. Now we are saying that the clock, it does not move from its place. Its position remains fixed. But the minute hand and the hour hand spikes inside the clock, they change their shape again and again. So they are said to be in the motion, or they are said to be moving. The minute hand, it keep on changing its position after some time, after 60 seconds. Then the second hand also is there. Then the hour hand will change its position after every 60 minutes. So this is the way the position changes, and that is why motion, and we can call it in a state of motion. Now there are different types of motion. If the movement of a body is in a straight line, then we will call it rectilinear motion. Like here we can see the example of cars, they are moving in a straight road. So that is rectilinear motion. Similarly, the other example could be the parade or a car moving in straight road. All these are the examples of rectilinear motions. Then we have circular motion. So motion of a body in circular path along a fixed point is called circular motion. Now circular motion are of two types. The motion can be in the form of revolution, can be in the form of rotation. Now what is revolution? When a body as a whole moves in a circular path, then we will call it a revolution, like the revolution of earth around the sun, the revolution of moon around the earth. And when a body undergoes motion in such a way that its body parts moves in different distances in a given time, then we'll call it a rotatory motion. Like example, the fan, the blades of a fan, they keep on rotating, or the spinning top. Next we have oscillatory motion. Oscillatory motion is a kind of motion when a body moves to and fro about a fixed position, like in the case of the motion of a pendulum of a clock. Then in here, what happens in that, the pendulum, it moves to and fro from its mean position. Similarly, the motion of a swing is also termed as oscillatory motion. There are some cases where more than one type of motion comes into picture. Like in Earth revolves around the sun in a circular path, so it will show circular motion or revolution. With revolution, Earth also moves around its own axis, so rotation is also going on here. So it means Earth shows two types of motion at a time. What are they? They're circular motion, rotational motion, as well as revolution. A ball rolling on the ground. Now it will also show two kinds of motion. How? It undergoes a rectilinear motion as well as rotational motion. That's all for the day, children. Thank you so much. Have a very good day ahead.